Hello all. I welcome you all for the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. So let me introduce myself. My name is Ruben Karthik and I'm associated with ManageEngine for the past 5 years. I do the training and implementation for the entire management solution. So here is our training schedule. It is a 3-week series and we are in the second week of the training program where we are going to see about the app management and device security provisioning. So last week we had about device onboarding where a technician would have explained about how to onboard your device into the management scope. Now in second day in today's training program, it's going to be about how you can manage your applications on the devices which has been added into the ManageEngine product. In case if you have missed the previous training session, you can always visit the below mentioned URL, and also all the registered participants will also get the recorded training video once after the webinar is over. All right, let us see what we have in the store for today. So first, it's going to be about overview of mobile device management solution. It is important for those who are not familiar with our product. So I'm going to give a quick introduction about our ManageEngine mobile device management solution, followed by the architecture and the ports required to manage your devices, and how does the mobile devices will be managed in our ManageEngine product is what I'm going to give the first part of the training. Second, it's going to be about the complete app lifecycle management, where I will demonstrate how you can install, uninstall, and upgrade your store and also enterprise application using our ManageEngine mobile device management solution. And also, we have an option to test and deploy your own enterprise application based on the requirement. Followed by, we will see how you can secure your data and devices. So how you can secure your corporate information available on the device and also the entire mobile managed also. And in that, I'll be explaining about how you can blacklist certain apps and malicious web content using our product, and also how you can lock down your devices with certain application. Let's say you have certain point of sale devices, how you can lock down with specific apps, and how we can remotely troubleshoot devices instead of explaining all the troubleshooting techniques to an end user who are not that technical, how we can involve yourself and remotely connect to the devices directly, and how we can troubleshoot is using our ManageEngine product is also available in our scenario, which I'm going to discuss in today's training program. And we'll also see how we can schedule the OS updates and how we can lock down your devices to a particular geographical location is what I'll be covering at the next part. And last, we'll also see how we can secure your corporate information in case if the device is lost or stolen. And at the end, based on my support experience, I'll also share certain real-time scenarios and the best solution for it. Meanwhile, in case if you, the viewers, come across any questions, you can always raise them in the chat. Our expert panel will be able to answer your questions then and there. Well, let's see the overview of mobile device management solution. So these are the supported operating systems under ManageEngine mobile device management solution, which is iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks. In iOS, you'll be able to manage iPhones, iPad, and MacBooks, and even Apple TV. And in the case of Android devices, you'll be able to manage mobile phones and also tablet. And for Windows, it's going to be Windows mobile device, Windows tablet, and Windows laptop. Along with it, you'll also be able to manage Surface Hub. And for Chromebooks, you'll also be able to manage in ManageEngine mobile device solution. And MDM in ManageEngine is available in 3 flavors. First, as a unified endpoint management product called Desktop Central, where you'll be able to manage all your laptop, desktop servers, and even mobile phones, tablets will also be managed under a single console. In case if you are looking for a standalone MDM product, then we also have ManageEngine Mobile Device Manager Plus, which is available on both on-premise and also in cloud. And if we have any MSP audience today, you'll also be able to manage devices from different companies under a single console using Mobile Device Manager plus MSP, which is also available on both on-premise and cloud. So we understand it's not possible to manage entire organization with just one application. That is why we endeavor to integrate as many applications as possible, starting with integration of ManageEngine Service Desk Plus, which is our own ticketing tool, which you can integrate with MDM. And along with that, you'll also be able to integrate with other help desk tools like Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk, ServiceNow. And if in case if you wish to integrate with the client relationship management software like Zoho CRM, you also have the option for it, and a local app development software called Zoho Creative. So these are the integration tools which we support with ManageEngine and MDM. In case if you're looking anything outside the box, you also have the API for mobile device management, using which you'll be able to perform a seamless integration. Let's see the mobile device manager plus architecture, how you're going to manage the devices using our MDM. So there are three major components involved in managing your mobile devices. First, it's going to be the MDM server. It can be a cloud hosting server, if not an on-premise. And second component is going to be the notification services. So the Apple push notification services will be used for managing Apple devices, Firebase cloud messaging service for Android, and WNS, the Windows notification services for managing your Windows devices. And the third component is the end device itself. So to understand the architecture in a better way, let me take an example. Say I'm an admin, I want to find out the location of my employee's phone. So what I'll do, I'll log into the product console, I'll go find the device, and I will enable locate device as a command. So that is what I will do it from the product UI. So how this command will be executed will be first, the MDM server will contact notification service. So in this case, let's say I'm trying to find out the location for an iPhone. So the MDM server will contact the Apple push notification service for it, and APNS will use the UDID number of the device to wake up it. And once the device is waked up, it will contact the MDM server and it will read what command to be performed. In this case, it's going to be the geo tracking. It's going to locate and give out the coordinates to the MDM server, which I'll be able to see it in the UI. So the communication will go from MDM server to the notification service, and the notification service will wake up the device to communicate with the server, which in turn the device will perform the task. Either it is an app deployment or an on-demand commands like scan or geo-tracking. It will perform the task and it will post back the status to MDM server. And in case if you are an on-premise customer and if you don't want to expose your MDM server to the public internet, then you do have an external component called secure gateway, which will act like a relay server between your device and the server. So all the internet devices will try to communicate the secure gateway, which will redirect the communications to MDM server, thereby making this inside your corporate network. And these are the list of ports used by the MDM solution, and device notification services will go for 5223 for iOS. And in case if you want to know more about the inbound and outbound port, I will request you to visit the below mentioned URL. So far we have seen as even in the architecture, the server initiates a command and the notification services triggers that. And how does the end device will be managed? So that is what we had discussed in the first training program. So we need to have the app install. This product follows the client and server architecture. So we need to have an app installed on your devices. So when it comes to Android, you need to have the ME MDM app. But in case of iOS, Windows, or Chromebooks, we leverage the native MDM client, which is already present in the OS itself. So when it comes to managing iOS, Windows, or Chromebooks, we leverage the native MDM client. You don't necessarily need to have an MDM app deployed on it, but when it comes to Android, you need to have the application deployed. So that there are various different steps of deployment we have. In case if you want to have a personalized demonstration based on your requirement or setup, you can always raise your demo request on the chat. If not, once after the webinar is over and you get the recorded video of the training program, you can even contact us via email. All right. So before we get into the app management side, let me take you to the product console and show you how does the MDM tool looks like. So this is how the MDM product web console will be. And so Desktop Central, as I mentioned, the MDM is also available as an add-on to Desktop Central. So here you will see the entire management tool like patching, inventory, imaging your computers. Along with that, you'll also be able to manage your mobile devices, tablets, and Chromebooks. And a standalone MDM will look like this. Under Home tab, you can find the number of devices being enrolled and what OS it belongs to, what about the device type, how many smartphones, how many tablets you manage. And you can also find the basic audit informations like what activity has been done on the device recently. In case if you want to export these information as a report, you also have a reports tab for it. And device management, this tab is what we are going to see more often in this training program, where I will walk you through how we can create a profile, how we can add and distribute application. So that is what we will be seeing here in this tab. And inventory is where you can find the basic asset informations for the devices you manage. So once you can find out or you can enable whatever columns you want to see in this particular dashboard, like I've enabled serial number. In case if you want to add any other informations in this dashboard, you'll be able to select the columns and you can also export these results. So you also have location data where you can find out the locations of all your managed devices in one single graph. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices. So there are different ways of onboarding your devices we have based on the type of management you're looking for. And as I said, we do have certain predefined reports available in case if you're looking for anything outside this box. We also have custom reports for you where you can create your own report based on the required columns. And in case if you want to schedule these reports or check these reports on a periodic manner, on a weekly basis or a daily basis, you do have an option to schedule them. That's a quick overview about the product and how the console looks like. Now let's get into the topic. So first, I'm going to show you how you can install and manage your business application using mobile device management solution. So before I take you to the product console and show you or demonstrate how this has to be done, let's quickly see how does an app management work. So first prerequisite, it will be the app repository. So you have to add your applications into the repository. So each MDM account will have their own repository for which you can add your application, either a stored application or your own enterprise application. You can upload them to the repository. Once that is done, you can distribute to the managed devices. So when it comes to installing these applications, if it is a store app, the apps will be directly initiated from the Play Store or App Store. But in case if it is an enterprise application, if you're trying to deploy your own enterprise app, then the installation will be initiated from your MDM server. So let me take you to the product console, and here is where you have the app repository. So in order to add your application into the repository, you have an option as add app. So you can add either it is an iOS app or an Android application or Windows application. So based on the type, you can also select. So first, let me show you how you can add a Play Store app for iOS. So I'll just select this option called Apple Store app. And let me try to add the Zoho Creator app, which is used for the local app development. I will see it here. And in case if you're looking to find out this application and if you belong to a different region or country, you can also use this search box to update your App Store location. So as soon as you select the app, it automatically pre-fills the version number and the Apple Store ID. And so you also have the option to configure the app policies. So what should happen if the MDM profile is removed? Say if the user leaves the organization, or if the device gets decommissioned, what should happen for the app which I've distributed? You can enable this option, which will automatically remove the application when the profile is removed. And also you can restrict the data which is getting stored in the iTunes or iCloud for this particular application. And if you're looking to configure or modify certain details on the application by updating the key and value details, and you can also use that by uploading an XML file which has all the necessary settings. And this is possible only if the app developer supports you modifying the app details. So now let me click on Save. And since the app is already available, I can just search for the app. And as I can see, this has been added from the Apple App Store technique. Now, in order to distribute this application, I can go to Groups and Devices section. And it's always better to distribute an application for 1 or 2 devices initially. See how the application works on the device. And if it is fine, then you can go ahead with deploying to your production environment. So let me select this particular. You can also use the filter option in case if you have devices of mixture platforms like Android, iOS, and Windows. You can always use this filter to choose the OS. And from this list, I can choose 1 or 2 devices, and I'll be able to apply or distribute the application. So you also have filters here. But anyway, I'll select this application. And first, let me show you how you can distribute this application to the app catalog, which is there on the device, and how user has the leverage to initiate a deployment from their end. So you also have an option to notify the users via email, stating that the administrator have published so-and-so app, and you can install it from the app catalog. So you also have an option to configure the mail template based on your requirement, which has the app name and the device details. So once I click on select, the particular app will be distributed to the device. And how the UI will be on the device end is, so the users on the iPhone, they can open the ManageEngine MDM application, and they will see app catalog, documents, And app catalog is the place where the users can find out what are the application published by the administrator. And if I need Zoho Creator, I'll click on install, and I will provide my iTunes account details to start the installation. Once I click on OK, this app will start to install and it will finish. So this is how you add an app from Play Store and you distribute a device, and how the users will get notifications about the app and how they can install is what I've shown you now. And in this technique, as you saw, every device must be provisioned with an iTunes account. And obviously, a user intervention is mandatory to complete the installation. But this would be mainly in case if you're not sure about what are the apps your employees might require. You can bulkily deploy as many applications you want. And from the app catalog, the users can select whatever apps they need and they'll be able to install. That is what this app catalog or the manual deployment will work. But in case if you're looking for a silent app installation, then we do have a technique for this. And if it is for iOS device, you have to integrate your MDM server with Apple Business Manager. And for Android, you have to integrate with Managed Google Play. I'll show you one by one how we can integrate with these 2 servers and how we can approve the application for silent deployment. As a prerequisite, in order to deploy any application silently using MDM, you need to have an account with ABM, that is Apple Business Manager and Google Play Store. And the device must be supervised. If it is an iPhone or an Apple device, if you're looking for a silent deployment, then the device must be supervised. In case if you want to know how to supervise the device, I would recommend you to visit the first training program about device onboarding. If not, you can also ask our chat technicians now, they'll be able to provide the appropriate guides for you. And for Android, it should be above Android 5.0 and later version. And to give the workflow for a silent app deployment, you have to integrate your MDM server with the Apple Business Manager portal, if not Google Play Store. Once after the integration is done, then you'll be able to approve applications from the respective portals to distribute to the devices. Let me show you how we can do it for Apple devices first. So I'll go to App Repository, and I'll go to Apple App Management. So I've already integrated my Apple Business Manager account for this server. So hence, I'll just log into another server to show you how exactly you might look like if you haven't integrated. So this is how it looks like: configure app for business or configure app for school. In case if you have any participant in the audience today who works for an educational institution, then you might select configure app for school as an option for you, because Apple School Manager is a dedicated portal only for educational institution where you can approve apps related to it. But in this case, I'll go with app for business. And first of all, I have to log into the Apple Business Manager portal, and you need to have an ABM account. In case if you do not have, you can also click on this link, which takes you to update your business information in this web page. And once after you logged into the console, you can go to the settings section. You can download the S token and you can upload it here. S token is like you authenticate your MDM server with the Apple Business Manager portal. So if you haven't have an account, this is how it looks like. You can provide your organization details and DNS number here, through which you can integrate. However, if I have an account, I can just go to the portal and I can go to the settings tab, apps and books section, and I'll be able to find out the server tokens available for my ABM account. So I can download the required server token. After downloading, I can just go and upload it in this section. And then you can choose the app installation type to be without Apple ID. This is mandatory, because if you enable this option or if you opt for this option, even though you approve application from the ABM portal, the users will still be prompted for the Apple ID to complete the installation. So it's always better to go with the first one without Apple ID. And it's better to configure or provide your email address here, because the server token, whatever you get from the Apple Business Manager, is valid only for a year. That is, every 365 days, you have to renew your S token. So once after you upload this data, this is how it looks like, where you can find out the information and how many apps you have synced. So now we're going to see how we can install an application silently on the device. For that, you have to integrate with Apple Business Manager and you have to get an app from the ABM portal. So to get an app in the same ABM portal, you will have apps and books section. So you can search for the required application here. And you need to make sure whether this option is enabled, device assignable. So only if an app is marked as device assignable, you'll be able to silently deploy. So whenever you search for any application as you require, you can always search for the apps and you can verify whether this has been enabled for device assignable section. And you can choose for which location you want to publish this application. And even though if it is a free application, you still have to mention the amount of devices for which you're going to distribute. Either if you're going to distribute the same application for 100 or 200 devices, you have to mention the count here and you can click on get. So I've already enabled for 310 devices. So once after you get the app from the ABM portal, so you can go to the app section. So you can search for the application which has been added from the ABM portal, and this shows Apple Business Manager. So only if you get an app from the ABM portal, you'll be able to silently deploy on your iOS devices. So now let's assume that I've already tested this very same application to a list of devices. So now I'm going to select the appropriate groups and I'm going to deploy this to my production environment. Say the Zoho CRM, the customer relationship management app, is required by my customer relationship department and HR department. So I'll just select whatever groups I want to distribute this application to, and I will choose the distribute app section here. And I'll be able to filter the platform. And if not, it's always better you can search for the application. Select the application here. And now you can choose silent installation. And in case if you don't want to notify the users about it, you can also uncheck this option. So this is how you add your application from the ABM portals, and you can distribute silently to the required device or groups. So this is how it looks like. On the device, the user doesn't have to go inside the MDM app and app catalog to initiate it. It will automatically start to install the required application on the device. And as a recommendation, we ensure the device is always connected to the Wi-Fi, because Apple doesn't let the devices to download an application which if it is more than 200 MB via mobile data. So it's always better to make sure the devices are connected through Wi-Fi if you try to distribute any application which is about 200 MB. So we have seen how we can add a App Store or Apple App Store application, or how we can get the required application from the ABM portal and you can silently deploy. Now let's see how we can add or integrate with Manage Google Play Store for Android devices. So that is how it will be for Apple App Management. And for Android devices, you can go to Manage Google Play, and either if you have a G Suite account, you can go with this option. In case if you don't have a G Suite account, you can still use your corporate Gmail ID to integrate with the Google Play Store. And when you click on Configure Now, this is how it takes you to. Even let me show you how. So this takes you automatically to the Google Play Store account. And you can click on Get Started. And you can provide your business details here. And just make sure when this has been, when you have initiate the integration from this portal, this particular field will automatically be filled. If not, just ensure the enterprise mobility management is selected as ManageEngine EMM, and then you can click on next, and you can update your data protection officer or EU representative details. It's going to be one of your engineers from your company. This is mandatory after the GDPR law has been passed. So in case if there is any security breach, these officers will be contacted for. You can also read the license agreement here and then confirm. So once you complete the registration, so we have the iframe integration readily available from the product itself. So you don't have to go to an ABM portal like how you did for Apple App Management. For Android devices, once the integration is completed, this is how it looks like, where you can find out the domain name and the app's already been synced. However, you can directly add the application by clicking on this option. So remember, only when you integrate your MDM with Google Play Store, you'll be able to silently install the application on the devices. Let's say since we are all working from home, in case I get a requirement that I have to deploy Zoho Meetings application to all my employees, so I'll just search for the required app. And when this is available, I'll just click on the app name. And all you have to do is just click on approve. Here, you doesn't have to mention about number of devices you want to distribute. All you have to do is just approve the application, and you can configure the required permissions on the device or for the particular application. And say in case if there is a new app request has been raised, would you like to keep the permissions approved? You can just notify, even if you want to get notifications about the approval settings, you can also enable. And once done, this app will be marked as approved, and you can click on save and sync here. This sync will happen once in a day. In case if you want to force a sync, you can also have this option. Same applies for Apple App Management too. We can initiate a sync. So once the sync is done, the app will start to import from the Google Play Store to the ManageEngine app repository. So once this is done, you can go to the app section. So I have this application already been added. And if I want to configure any details for this application, I do have an option to define it here. You can search for the required application. And if in case if you import any application from the Google Play Store, that's how it looks like, Manage Google Play. And you can click on the app name. And under permission, you can just choose whatever permission you want to enable on the device end. Say I want to make sure the camera, contacts, and location is always enabled when the user uses this particular application, then I will choose allow. And for calendar, I can just opt it for the user control. So you can also add your application from Play Store, and you can also customize the permissions required. So once after you configure these details, like how we did before, you can go to groups and device section, you can select the appropriate group, or you can even select the individual device, and you'll be able to distribute the required application. So once you've initiated this way, again, the app doesn't, the user doesn't have to go to MDM app catalog to initiate it. The installation will automatically start to happen on the device end. And you'll also see a work patch icon updated against whatever app is being distributed through our ManageEngine product. And as you can see, the permissions here, so whatever app you've distributed and whatever permission you've configured for this particular application is being enabled in the exact manner. So if I've selected always on, the location service will not be controlled by the user. So now we have seen how we can deploy your application using our MDM product. Now let me show you how we can control the app updates. So you can go to the device management app repository section here. So you will see the app updates available as a count. So for now, whatever app I've distributed through our product, only one app requires an update. So I can click on this count and I'll be able to click on the application. And if you want to distribute or if you want to update this application only on a particular device and verify whether this update works fine, then if you want to approve it for all your devices, then you can just choose the update for that particular device alone. In case if there are 100 and more number of devices available for the same app, then you can click on update all. So this particular update will be applied to all the managed devices or all the devices which have the application. So that is for the App Store updates. In case if you want to automatically update all your application, I don't want to manually go check whatever application has an update required, and I don't want to initiate it manually, then you can go with this automate app updates option. So when you enable this, automatically all the store app will be updated whenever there is a new version comes in. So we have seen about how you can control the app updates through our product. What if in case from enterprise application? So far, I've explained about how we can add the App Store applications or Play Store application and how we can update them. For enterprise application, is it mandatory to have an ABM account? Or without ABM or managed Google Play Store, will I be able to silently deploy my own application? Yes, it is possible. You don't need an ABM or managed Google Play account for it. And also, is it possible to test? Yes, you have an option to test the required application to a device. And even if there is an update available for your own enterprise application, you can still test them and then approve it for your production environment. For that, let me go to device management, app repository. And if in case, if you have your own enterprise Apple application, you can upload your IPA file. If it is for an Android device, you can still upload your APK. So apologies for this. All right, you can go to device management tab, app repository, and you can just click on add app. So in case if you're looking for Apple enterprise application, you can click on this link and upload the IPA file. In case if you're looking for updating your APK file, you can go with app Android enterprise application. Let's say I have an APK file and I want to distribute this to my user, and I'll just click on this application. So as soon as you click on, it will automatically start to fetch the app details, the name and the app version information. And if you want to customize this very same application, you also have an option to provide the appropriate dynamic variables. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and save the APK file, which is my own enterprise application, and I'm looking forward to deploy to my employees. So after adding the application to the repository, you can either go to groups and device section. If not, you can click here, it's a quick link which takes you this very same groups and devices tab. So you can select the appropriate group, but this is an enterprise application. I will first want to test this on a particular device. So I'll just select the device and I'll click on distribute application. So it's an enterprise application. So this is what I've added now. So I'll click on application and I'll choose select silent installation. So once this is enabled, it will silently deploy on the user device. And in case after a month, if there is a new, I found out there is an issue with this particular application and I want to update the APK file. So what I'll do, I'll go to the same app repository. I'll click on the application. And here you will see the upload new version. This option will be enabled only for your enterprise application. So you can click on upload new version. And you can choose the appropriate APK file. This will automatically validate the version number and it will give you the prompt for it. See, an older version of this app is already available in the repository. This version will now act as beta. So unless you go and approve the latest version, whatever we have uploaded now, it will act as a beta version. So you can just click on update. So now you will see two version of the same application available in the repository. So if you want to test the beta version, you can choose beta version and then go to distribution details here, where you can distribute this app to a group or a device. And let's assume that I have tested this on a device and this even seems to have an issue. What I can do, I can replace the beta version to another file. So remember, first I have added an APK, and when there is an update that acts like a beta version, and if this update has an issue, I can still replace the version with the latest APK file. And you see this version will replace the existing beta itself. And let's assume that beta version 3, the version 3 seems to be successful. This doesn't have any issue. Then I can just choose this option as mark as stable. So when I click on mark as stable, this prompts me to install the update automatically on all the devices which has the application. If not, I can distribute the app catalog. Whenever the user wants to update the enterprise application, the users might go with select this option. I can also notify the users via email about the app update. If not, say I want to test a few more devices, then I'll choose distribute later. So that is how you add your enterprise application into our app repository, and you can either distribute, and whenever there is an update comes out, you can just mark it as a beta version, test this on few devices, then you go ahead and mark it as stable. So far, we have seen how you can add application from the App Store, or how we can integrate from the respective Apple portals or Google Play portals, and how we can silently deploy the application. And also, we have seen how you can add your own enterprise application and distribute. In case if you have any questions related to that, please raise them in the chat. Our chat panel team can be answering your questions then and there. Now we will see how you can prevent the users from installing malicious apps on the device. So for that, we have a profile available under device management profile section. You can either go to profiles and create a new one. If not, you can always use this quick link. I'll create an Android profile, and I'll give a name. It's just to understand for which purpose I've created the profile. And here you have a restriction available for app installation. You can go to the applications tab, and you can restrict the unapproved application install. So users can install unapproved apps, and I want to restrict that. So what happens when you enable this option is the users cannot go to Play Store and they cannot initiate any app deployment. So whatever applications you deploy through our product, they can either go to app catalog and install. If not, you can silently distribute from ManageEngine. But the users will not have access to Play Store and they cannot go and install it. That is something I can make use of it to overcome the situation, maybe to prevent the users from installing malicious app. But in case if the apps are already there on the device, then we do have an option under inventory where you can find out what are the apps installed in each and every device. You could go to the inventory section here. You can click on the device name, and you can find out the apps installed on this particular device. If not, if you go to app section on the left-hand side, this gives you the complete list of applications installed on all your devices. From here, you can just choose whatever app you want to blacklist. Let's assume I want to restrict access to Facebook and iTunes and whatever apps you want. I can just select the required applications to blacklist, and I will choose this option either to all the managed devices or only to specific groups. Let's say only for the employees, I want to restrict this application, not for the managers. So I can choose the appropriate groups and I'll be able to blacklist them. And in order to define what actions to be performed on the blacklisted app, so you have an option here, either to uninstall immediately when you blacklist an application, or you notify users about it. This is a prohibited application which is installed on your phone, and then you uninstall, or just notify the users about it. So likewise, you can define the actions to be performed on the blacklisted apps. Not just that, even if the user tries to install this very same application again, he will not be able to do it. The users will get a notification stating that so-and-so app had been restricted by the MDM administrator. And I've shown you how you can prevent the malicious app. What if in case if the same apps can also be accessed from browser? So you do have an option for it. So you can go to the same profile creation page. You can save this profile. Along with that, you can also add another payload called web content filtering. Here you can enable this option, apply automatic restriction on malicious content. You can choose yes. And you also have an option to update the URLs. You can mention the web links which has to be blacklisted. So when you go with whitelisting, so whatever website or URL you update here, only that will be accessible from the device. Rest of all the URLs will be blocked. But if you go with blacklisting, So whatever website you update here will only be not accessible by the users. So that is something I can make use of it for the users not to access certain malicious app and also malicious website. So what if in case I have few point of sale devices or certain device which has to be distributed to the interns or say if you're working on an education institution, if you want to lock down the devices on only with certain application, then we have kiosk mode for you. So you can just go to the same device management profiles. You can create a profile and you can choose kiosk mode. And here you can lock down the device with certain applications alone. Either you can lock down the device with a particular application. Say I'm going to hand over the devices to delivery guys. All they need to have access is only to the maps. Then I can search for the required application which I want to lock down the device with. I'll go with this option. And apart from that, in case if I want to restrict the users from accessing to power button or back button, I can also able to do that. If not, say it's going to be multi-app. Um, let's say this is for a medical industry. The nurses has to update the patient details and the location. Likewise, if there are only certain apps they need to have access to, then I can choose multi-app kiosk mode and I'll be able to choose the required application information here. And I'll be able to distribute this particular payload. And you can also choose which launcher has to be used on the device, either an MDM launcher or the default device launcher. If not, you can also choose the appropriate options like whether to show the ME-MDM app in case if there is an issue and the user is trying to contact, they can just go to the ME-MDM app. They can upload the log files for our analysis. However, you can choose the appropriate settings you wish, and you can also enable certain device restrictions. And even when the users use this particular application, they can access Wi-Fi or say, I don't want the users to turn off Wi-Fi when they use the application. Likewise, I'll be able to customize the same kiosk mode with app restrictions and also with device restriction. So I'll save this profile and I'll just go and publish this. It's always you have to save the profile and you need to publish to the required groups. So as you can see, I've created a profile and this automatically asks me to click on the quick link for which I can select the appropriate group, a device, and I'll be able to distribute. So when I distribute the kiosk mode, that is app lock mode, how the user's device will look like is exactly this, how the image will be. So if I lock down the device with a single app, all they can access is to this particular application. The back button will not function. Whenever the users unlock the device, it automatically opens this particular app I've allowed. In case if it's a multi-app kiosk mode, these are the only applications they will have access to. So in case if you have any questions related to the profile creation, please post them in the chat. Our team can help you. Now let us see how you can troubleshoot devices of remote user. So what we usually do if there is an issue in a corporate device and if the user is outside the organization where you cannot bring down the device to our desk, and even if the agents are not that technical, it's always going to be a mess for us and it's going to be a lot of explanation. We have to do it on the user's over phone to complete the troubleshooting process. That is why if I have remote control option in MDM now, so like how we connect to a computer in the same way, you can also directly connect to mobile devices now. So remote control option is available for Samsung, Lenovo, Sony, and a couple of other OEMs. And for Apple and other Android devices, if they are provisioned as a device owner, you'll also be able to use the remote view. However, let me initiate a remote control on this particular device and show you how the UI looks like or how you can directly take access of the device. So in case if you are a cloud user, this automatically integrates with the Zoho Assist. So we use the Zoho Assist product for initiating remote control on the user end. So you can either notify the users before you take control. If not, you do have an option to silently take control based on the permissions you configure for the device. So this is how it looks like when you remotely connect to the device. So as you can see, I can drive what actions to be performed on the device. And even if you want to choose it when you do a remote control, you do have an option to enable quick chat. As you can see, this device has been locked on with the kiosk mode. So in case if you want to disable the kiosk mode till you troubleshoot, I can just make use of the quick remote command options. So exit kiosk, which will disable the device from the kiosk mode. As you can see, the kiosk mode has been passed. Now, without the user intervention, I can just silently check what issue is happening on the device. I'll be able to drive, and I can perform the activities on the device. And once after troubleshooting, or once after the issue has been resolved, I can just enable the kiosk mode. That is how you remotely connect to any device you manage, and you'll be able to perform the troubleshooting techniques. So this helps the MDM administrators. We can minimize our effort, and also we don't have to trouble the employees in order to perform any task on the device. They can just notify them, and you'll be able to silently take control, and you'll be able to troubleshoot. So let's see how you can restrict devices from leaving us from a certain area. So how you can lock down the devices based on a particular geolocation. So we also have an option for that under ManageEngine, but we call it as a geofencing facility. So you can first thing when it comes to locking down the device, you have to create a fence. You can just go click on create fence. So if I'm trying to create a fence in New York, I'll just choose whatever location I want, and you can just create a fence from the range of 150 meter to 500 kilometer. Let's assume I'm trying to create a radius for 50 kilometers. So I can just mark for which region I want to lock down, if this is where my office is located at. And in case if I don't want my employees to take the devices outside the office premise, you can just lock down or create a boundary this way. So after creating a fence based on the requirement, I can just go and define a policy to it. So I'll choose for this fence, when if a device goes outside the fence, immediately I want to get the notifications about it. So I'll just choose the appropriate email address for which I need to get it. And after a day, so immediately when the device goes outside the boundary, I'm going to get a notifications about it, and I'll wait for a day. In case if the device doesn't come, I can just choose action, and I can enable a last mode, which I'll be explaining you in the upcoming slides. If not, you can also enable a complete wipe. Say after a day or two, in case if the device haven't come within the boundary, I can do a complete wipe just to make sure in case if the device is outside the office premise, I don't want to lose my corporate information available in it. So that is how you create a fence, apply a policy to it, and then you can choose to which groups or devices you want to associate this policy to. Let's assume I want this policy to be applied only to the interns or only to normal employees. In case I can choose the appropriate groups I want to distribute this policy to, and I'll be able to apply them. That is how I'll be locking my devices into a particular geolocation area. Now let us see how you can automate the OS update. So whenever Apple or Google releases an update, why you need to automate and what is the need of it. The disadvantages of having an outdated OS version is obviously the devices will miss the security patches, and older version will always tend to be slower. So it's well and good to have your devices up to date. Moreover, the enterprise applications. So in case if you're developing an app for your employees, and you might go with only with certain OS version. So if that is an employee device which is outdated, obviously the app whichever you're intending to work on the phone will not function. So it's have and also in case if the user tries to update the device irrespective of time, it can also consume your corporate bandwidth. So that is why we have a solution to schedule and automate your OS update. This ensures just a one-time setup. If you configure this OS update policy for once, whenever there is a new update comes up for Apple or for Android, it automatically gets applied on the device. And you can either immediately deploy the update, if not, you can delay or even schedule a particular window time for it. And also you can notify the users about it and can also give permission for the users to skip it. Let me quickly show you how you can achieve that in a product. So you can go to automate OS updates. You can create different policies for different group of devices you wish. And so this is how it looks like. You can either apply the update immediately on all the devices. If not, you can delay it. Say whenever there is an update available for Android, I would like to delay it for 7 days. So for a week, I want to monitor how the upgrade is functioning. And in case I don't want to update my devices or the employees' phones on the weekdays during office hours, I can just uncheck the preferred days or preferred week of the month and also the preferred time and the day. So for example, say I want the users to update their phones only in the non-office hours from evening 6 o'clock till midnight. I can just specify the window too. And if I want to notify the users about the update, I can also enable this option. And even if I want to give permission for the users to skip the deployment, I can do it. Say I will allow the users to skip only for 7 days. So when there is a new update comes in, for 7 days, I will monitor. And within this next 7 days, either the users can apply. If not, on the 8th day, all the devices will be forcefully updated. So we create a policy and you can apply the policy to the appropriate groups. You can just select the policy and distribute to the required groups and devices. So that is how I'll achieve. So far, we have seen how we can deploy application, how we can restrict certain application, and how we can lock down the device with certain locations and all. Now, last session is going to be about the securing the devices when it is lost. What if in case the mobile phone is stolen or lost? How and what are the activities you have to do as an MDM admin? First, I'll go to the inventory section. Say if this has been notified through a call or by raising a ticket, I'll just go to the device section, choose the appropriate device, and I will enable this locate device command. Just want to make sure where exactly the device is located. In case if I'm not able to track down, I'll just go and lock down the device by enabling the lost mode. So this is how it looks like when you lock down a device. You can also mention for which number the call has to land. And you can also configure a complex password on this particular device. Because what if in case my employee have configured easy password like 1234 or ABC like this, I can just configure a complex password. You don't have to worry. You will also get notifications to your email. And in case if this has been raised by a ticket, you can just enter the ticket ID. And so that's how you locked on the device. And this is how the UI looks like on the device end. The device will become completely locked. The users cannot do any activities. They cannot unlock the phone. The only option they can do is read the message and click on call. That's the only option will be enabled to whoever has the device. And in case if I found that by enabling the location tracking, I get to see that the device is inside the office and the user is not able to trace down the location. I can make use of these options like remote alarm, where it can generate an alarm to trace or find out the location of the device. If not, I say if I'm not able to find out the device or the device is stolen or I'm not able to get the device back, then I can also go with corporate wipe or complete wipe option. If I go with complete wipe, it's going to do a factory reset. But if I go with corporate wipe, so whatever restrictions or whatever policies or app being deployed through this product will only be wiped out just to make sure the corporate data doesn't get stolen. I can either choose these remote wipe commands and I'll make sure the corporate data is safe and secure. I can lock the device and also I can save the corporate data available on the devices. So we have come to the end of the training. So now quickly see the scenarios what I have come across in the support experience, which the questions which has been raised mostly by the customers. So how can we prevent the users from uninstalling a corporate application? This is exactly, we do have an option under restrictions. And just go ahead and create another profile. And same way you go to restriction. So like how we restrict the users from installing an unapproved app, the same way you can also restrict the users from uninstalling any corporate application. You can just go to applications tab and restrict this option. So the users will not be able to uninstall any application on the device. And the second scenario, say a user has reset the device and left the organization. When I try to reactivate the device, it prompts for the user's credential, what I'll do in this scenario. So obviously Android prompts for the user's credentials to activate the device. In that scenario, that is where the Android have provided the enterprise factory reset protection program, where you can update or configure your corporate Gmail ID and account information using which you can activate the devices. So in case if you want to know how to update the account ID, you can also mention the accounts. Not just this profile, if you want to read about web content filtering in detail or any profile, you can always find the help link at the top right corner. So you can click on this link and read about the information about the particular payload in detail. So this explains about the enterprise factory reset protection in detail. So you can just update the details here, like your corporate Gmail ID, using which you can unlock the device. And the third scenario, so how we can prevent the users from turning off the location. Obviously, in case if the device is stolen and if the user have disabled the location services, even though I try to enable it from here, will not be able to achieve that. So it's always better to restrict the users from turning off the location services. For that, again, we can achieve through the restrictions here. We can go to location settings and you can always choose always on. So by enabling this, you can save this profile and you can publish it to the required devices. So that is how you mark the location to be always on, and whenever you want to geo-track, and we also have the location history tracking. If you want to track down the locations of the devices, the particular week or last month, you'll also be able to find out those information in our MDM. So that's all. We've come to the end of the training program. Please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is being the best. And if you like the training program, please spread a word with the hashtag called Mobile Device Manager Plus or #ManageEngine, the social media platform. And I thank each and everyone for joining the webinar in this outbreak situation. And I request everyone to stay safe and take care. Thank you all.